Speaking of horrifying things related to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez,
Actually, I'm gonna have to disagree with you here because I actually agree with this.
so Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the Zodiac killer whose father killed JFK are teaming up. Weird that she team up with that person. Why he's not in jail is actually a question of mine. They teamed up to make birth control available over the counter,
Yeah, they're working on a bipartisan bill in order to make birth control available over the counter, as opposed to needing a doctor's prescription.
which
I'm 100% on board.
I,
I will say it when AOC does something good, I will say it. And
yeah,
this is something good that she is doing, and she's working on it with Ted, the Zodiac Killer Cruz,
Ted
and,
Cruz, Lion
and
Ted Cruz,
Lion Ted Cruz.
freaking
And
Lion Ted Cruz.
you know, I may not like either one of them all that much, but I am fully in support of this.
So the argument against making birth control available over the counter is really, besides we all need to be making babies every time we inseminate a woman. The argument, the more rational argument is that birth control has all sorts of, it can cause, essentially it's taking a bunch of hormones that cause trick your I don't know how it works, but it basically, I think it tricks your vagina into thinking that you're already pregnant, and so it says no thanks sperm. I don't know how.
I don't know how it works either. I don't have to take it, but you and I are going to be the reason. Like this segment, somebody's going to pull this segment up, and they're going to be like, "This is why white men should not be allowed to make any rulings on birth control."
Did we just make a podcast?
A really crappy version of one right now, but yeah.
Oh man. No, this is with the exception of the streaming issues, I'd say this is one of our top 5. So, birth control has some hormonal stuff, and I know nothing about birth control. It has there are
I don't
so
know what you're trying to argue in this moment.
what they say is that there's some risks. It has risks. It's a drug. It has hormones. The hormones have risks. There's like an elevated risk, I think, of breast cancer and things like that. And so they're like, oh, if you take birth control, blah, blah, blah. Well, there's like a ton of things that are not just over the counter, but aren't even considered drugs that have risks associated with them. So the idea that you need to have a prescription from a doctor because you want your vagina to say no because it gets the hormones. So you see how it works is that a fallopian tube looks like a ram's head, and no, I mean like a uterus, but then the fallopian tubes are the horns. And what birth control does, you see, so the cervix is like the nose. And so when the sperm, so this is a good thing.
Yeah, no, this is a really good thing because Spike will never have to talk about birth control on the air.
I'm coming back next week having done hours of research on birth control, and I will talk about this. You'd think I was Dr. Ruth.
I don't think that's what she does, but
I don't know much about her. You'd think I was Dr. Well, does anyone think that Dr. Ruth doesn't know how birth control works?
I'm betting that she hasn't had to know how birth control worked. I am willing to bet that since people have known Dr. Ruth's name, she hasn't had to worry about birth control.
So this is a good thing.
This is a good thing, both economically, and it gives people the ability to pick their own medications, and it will help lower the cost of birth control across the board. So that way, we don't have to worry about getting accidentally pregnant and people going, birth control is too expensive. And Instead, people can go out and buy cheaper birth control that's more widely accessible. And, well, the real parties just begin then.
You want to talk about free love? Listen,
right?
So, because you see so it's so they're like horns. Anyway, so I mean, here's the thing with birth control. A lot of times the birth control itself isn't that expensive. It's the fact that you're having to go to a doctor,
right,
to get it in the first place.
Yeah.
You have to go to. I mean, a doctor's not cheap. I mean, even if you're insured, the copay is pretty high, and you go in and you're like, I don't want to have kids, and the doctor's like, oh, why? And like, you know, like starts asking you questions, and then you're basically asking for permission to be able to use your own vagina freely, and that seems wrong.
And for some reason, if I were to walk in and say, hey, I want a vasectomy at any age, they'd just be like, sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead. But if a woman goes in and is like, I want to get my tubes tied, and you're under the age of like 28, they'll go, no.
Yeah.
Not doing it.
Yeah. Now, they say it's because many, like, statistically, they're more likely, like, a lot of them come back later and say they want it, and there's all these fertility problems or whatever. But again, you got to let adults make their decisions, even if they regret them later. That's like, they're not coming in and saying, cut my arm off. They're coming in and saying, I don't want to have children. And yes, a vasectomy is more easily reversible, but that's not guaranteed. And it's still a mild surgical procedure, and you can still do it. And that's not really anyone's business. But anyway, so that's a good thing that has happened. A very rare good thing from both Ted Cruz and AOC. Hey, everybody. You know what's more fun than this?
Subscribing to us on YouTube.
Subscribing to our page.